Yeah, I have one question. For Manhattan or New York County, New York, since Mr. Mamdani is back to assert his mayoralty because we had an election here. And he was announced on January 1st at midnight that he was the mayor of the city of New York. He announced it. I don't know where he's been lately, but I just recently saw him resurface. So if he's resurfaced, he's in the United Nations. I already know. He only had the passport from Uganda. That came out last summer. So I don't know what him talking to Antonio Guterres at the UN recently has to do with anything of back in January when he asserted his position as mayor, and all summer last year, starting in June of 2024, is when the primaries and all this complicated thing ran and on and on and on and on and on. And the election in November, and then he took office on January 1st. He stood there and says, we're governed by a charter of 1625, and he took an oath of office. Then he said, well, we're governed by the Constitution of New York, and he took another oath of office. And then we're governed by the Constitution of whatever, and they took another oath of office. And they were all laid out in front of City Hall. Fine. That's what he chose to do. That's what he did. There was nobody to tell him what to do. I mean, I don't know. But I never saw the governor. But I saw Bernie Sanders, and I saw AOC, and I saw these Washington people. I mean, I just have very specific questions for anybody who can answer them. I have 100% medical coverage, okay? Because I have Medicare. And then I have a Medicaid case because I receive funds from the Human Resource Authority. It's direct funded by Ryan White funds. Ryan White funds were set aside specifically for men who have HIV, period. That's what they're for. Specifically, very restricted, okay? That goes from Washington directly into HRA. Okay? It does. Plus, I have Medicaid on top of that. Plus, I get food stamps too. All right? So, the question I have is I finally got things moved around to got a doctor a block from my house. And first thing he did, make an appointment. First, go in, take off my pants and my shirt and everything. He checks my legs, my feet, looks at everything. How do I walk? Touches, maybe my back, feels everything. He's a doctor. He heals people. I mean, come on. Are you going to raise a baby online and not touch or hold it? Are you going to marry a woman and have a child and not hug your wife and kid? If you have your own child, are you going to not touch it or see how its arm or elbow is? Well, if you're single like I am and others, well, how do you do online monitoring blood pressure for somebody? And why are there devices in Manhattan and around here? They're specifically designed to be in somebody's home and attached to their body and inflate and deflate and measure blood pressure. And why is there a device that goes on your arm and plugged in and measures your A1C when you don't have to have it permanent on your arm? And if the device is doing this and the equipment's in your home, isn't that getting billed to Medicare, Medicaid? And can somebody even possibly monitor your blood pressure or anything via a Bluetooth connection to you being someplace by yourself? Why are these devices in New York City everywhere? When the very fact that they're sold and advertised means that the plan is that they're attached to a person and there's no person that sees them, which means they're automatically isolated, and which means they can't really be monitored. And why these people tend to be elderly? I mean, these are obvious questions that spell abuse, all right? And why is this still categorically going on? Why is there still a shortage of actual people to provide health care? Why don't we talk about it? Why isn't there specific numbers of people hospitalized or nothing at all? I mean, why didn't Bill de Blasio at least station somebody by the door, say, for every person who comes in, we're going to make sure we write their name down and some ID or some description for them. Since the volume of death was so great, you mean one person wasn't available to try to make sure we remember the names of the dead? Means that many people didn't have IDs or something? I'm just saying, this wasn't the first coronavirus 19 that they ever dealt with. And 100 years ago, Spanish flu wasn't the same one either. There's just too many instances of lack of information and so many deaths because of it that it's not up to the citizenry here to say, hey, leaders, can you make sure you make a list of the names of the dead as they die? So I just want to say, does anybody even have the count from May 8th to the end of May, even specifically in the city of New York or anything? No, I think they literally said we're so overwhelmed that when the person dies, we put the body in a body bag and put the whole body bag in a freezer trailer truck and couldn't even be bothered to count how many were thrown in there. Don't you realize how vulnerable that makes the city? And that's not poor planning. Not when we know that these problems are existing and this is one of the most important cities in the country. To not be prepared at all. I remember all the shortages of everything. Why do masks need to be short? In a city with as many people as this New York has, and the wealth and the money. You see, it's one continuous trauma for me. The trauma of February 11th, and then the trauma of this, and then the trauma of there nobody being here, and the trauma of no explanation, and it's just, and then the wave comes in, this person, that person, oh my gosh, and then just stumbling upon the fact by accident that there was going to be an election last June. For cities so sophisticated, they sure do seem to be lacking. So, I don't know. I just feel whiplashed again. Oh God, I'm getting really tired again. Yeah, I just fell asleep again. I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah, I fell asleep standing up. I just fell asleep. I don't know what I was saying.